Hello, my name is Tom Stiles, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show number 40. Yep, the big 40. You know, I can remember when I was 40, almost. Anyway, today's show I'm going to review one of my radios. Kind of like this radio. It's nothing really special. It's just a nice little radio. Picked it up several years ago. Maybe it was a lot of years ago. Matter of fact, I think it was built in 1981. Anyway, it's the Radio Shack DX-302 general coverage receiver. So let's take a look at that. Here we go. This is a picture of the DX-302 Radio Shack general coverage receiver. This is actually a picture of the catalog page of the receiver, and you can see it sold for $399. It was on sale in the early 1980s, I think, for a couple years, and that was about it. Okay, here's a go over here. Here's a nice picture of the radio itself. Nice layout. It was about 12 inches wide. Didn't take up a lot of desk space. The controls were very easy to use. Over here we had the RF gain, the volume, which was also the on-off, and the mode control if you wanted standby, lower sideband, upper sideband, AM, etc. This is a phone jack for listening to it on the headphones. And then over in this section we had the pre-selector, the S meter, and in the center we had the readout, digital readout, and the tuning dial. We can take a closer look at this section over here. Okay, over here you can see that it had a pre-selector built in so that you could filter the signal before it came into the radio and increase the sensitivity. And you could select 5 different bands for pre-selecting. Actually, it shows 6 bands. I'm sorry, 6 bands for selecting. We're using this knob down here. And it did have BFO so that you could listen to single sideband and tune single sideband. It had an RF attenuator for either 0 attenuation, 20, or 40. Also, this radio had a 6-element and a 9-element ceramic filter to provide outstanding selectivity. It also had a triple conversion receiver, or was a triple converted receiver. Again, that helped with selectivity and sensitivity. In the back, and I don't have a picture of the back, it had connection for an external speaker and a connection for a tape control, a tape line output, so you could hook that to a recorder. It normally can be ran on 110 volts AC, or it has a connection to connect it to 12 volts DC. And no, I don't want an update from Firefox. Or it has an area to put in some C-cell batteries to run it on C-cells. Also on the back it had a connector for antenna, which was a PL259 standard connector, or it had connections for 2 300 ohm tap screws for 300 ohm line. Okay. It also had, you can see here that it had, when you were operating on battery, the light didn't stay on all the time. If you're on AC, it was on all the time. If you're on a battery, to conserve battery power, it wasn't on all the time. So you could use this switch to switch the light on and off. Also over here you could change the selectivity from wide to narrow. Now let's go back to the full picture again. Okay, this was the LED. There were 5 LEDs for showing the frequency, and there were actually 2 concentric tuning knobs. The outside rim was for tuning in steps of megahertz, and the inside rim was for tuning in steps of kilohertz. And both of those worked quite well. They were very smooth, and it made it easy to change. The meter here could also be used not only to show an S meter reading, but it also could be used to read the battery voltage. So that is the DX-302. I picked up one of those at a Hamfest several years ago. I really like the layout of it. It's very easy to adjust the knobs and everything with my big fat hands. And the sensitivity is very good. Now, it's not as good as your modern, phase lock loop radios and stuff like that, but it does an adequate job, especially if you're using an outside antenna. And I picked it up, I think I paid I think it was like $75 for it. Now here's another web page. Oh, I had another web page up here. Anyway, I had another web page up here that showed you the average going price today for this radio, and it typically goes for around $100 on eBay, some less, some more, depending on the condition. So anyway, that's our review of the Radio Shack DX-302 general coverage radio. Hope you enjoyed it, and please come back next time.